I often use Spider-Man, and I mean like the classic Spider-Man character, not the one that's in the movies and such right now, but the classic Spider-Man character is a beta male. Even Steve Rogers, who ends up becoming Captain America in the beginning, is very much a beta male as well. Steve Rogers, the kid Steve Rogers, who wanted to, and this is like this is according to the movies and according to the comic books, was this kind of wimpy kid who would get his butt kicked and had to have his best friend Bucky, cover for him because he was actually naturally more alpha than he was. He gets the super serum, and he becomes super, right? And he steps out of the super's chamber, and girls want to touch his chest, right? Oh my God. But he still is, so he's an alpha physically, but inside he's still the good guy, right? He's still the guy. Well, it's the classic story of like sort of overcoming your obstacles and what would I do if I had that kind of power, right? Even in Spider-Man, it's the same thing. It's this wimpy kid it's high school kid who gets bitten by a radioactive spider and suddenly has superpowers. And with superpowers comes great responsibility. I forget the quote, whatever. It comes great responsibility, right? And so that's the sort of the moral of the story, right? You're supposed to learn, those are the lessons for that. Well, what we and it's heartwarming, right? Oh, the good guy finally gets the girl, yeah, because he got the super serum, and now he looks like a bodybuilder, or now he has something. Now he's has something that other guys don't have, and now all the guys that used to abuse him, they don't touch him anymore because now he's learned Taekwondo, right? He's learned something, right? He has some sort of contingency or some sort of superpower, but he's still the good guy. And I've used that. I think I used this last time I was talking about alpha. Steve Rogers, Captain America, is one kind of alpha. Superman is the good guy kind of alpha, like does everything by the book, is the old school, old order kind of good guy. Whereas then you got the bad guy alpha. I didn't say bad guy, but the maverick, right? The individualist. And no, not the Sigma. That's something different. But like sort of the bad boy alpha, which is like the Tony Starks, like the Batman, right? Iron Man, Batman. Those are really, from a masculine archetype perspective, those two characters are pretty much the same. They're both millionaires, right? They're both take life on their own terms. They're both inventors. They're all both tinkerers to some degree. And so really those characters are an alpha archetype. And so is Steve Rogers. And really later, I wouldn't say Spider-Man ever really becomes an alpha archetype, but you'll notice that the guys who are sort of the good guys, their greatest weakness is, I won't say naivety, but it's this beta male kind of thinking. It's this nice guy thinking in an alpha body. And again, the reason why that's a fantasy is because the guys writing those stories, that was their fantasy. There was to, oh gosh, I'm just this poor little kind of washout in high school. Boy, wouldn't it be great if I could, get bit by a radioactive spider and be something else. But good call there. Alpha male. Yeah. Good call, because really what you're observing there is this idea that, if you're a good looking dude, if you're this stereotypical alpha kind of guy, you could still be a simp, right? You can still be a white knight. You could still be a chump. You could still be vulnerable to manipulations, not just by women, but by other men, and also by other forces outside of yourself, like government, like economic forces, things like that. So if that is your sort of innate way of thinking, viewing life is sort of this, natural good guy kind of thing, there's certainly a learning process that goes along with that. I think what's interesting is like I hate to keep using I hate to keep using comic book characters for this, but if you look at like the rise of sort of the anti-hero, the guys who are just sort of take the world on their own terms. People were saying, like, remember in Batman when Heath Ledger was playing the Joker? I forget the name. It was Batman Begins. No, it was the other one was right after that. Anyway, the one with Heath Ledger in it. People kept saying the Joker was the hero, even in the most recent Joker movie. He's the hero. He's the hero because he's doing what most guys of this generation, the young guys of this generation, can it resonates with them, right? Because that's their story. So when you're looking at like say like Captain America or Spider-Man in the 60s, and you're kind of this kind of wimpy kid who just gets gets wedgies from the jocks like every other guy has ever had since day one, right? You always get the stronger kids always bully the weaker kids, right? And so boy, wouldn't it be great if I could just I can't actually do this, but I'm just going to write this really wonderful story where I'm actually the hero because I have these superpowers and nobody will mess with me anymore. That's exactly the same thing when we're looking at Joker or when we're looking at the anti-heroes. So like even Wolverine's an anti-hero. He's not a good guy. He'll kill people. Like in the old books, man, he would kill people. And that, or the Punisher. Remember? Punisher was great. God, I love the Punisher. Even the Punisher movie or the one that was on Netflix was pretty good. And I know I'm not endorsing Netflix now. But it was really good movie. Also a good character and wildly popular. What's funny is the Punisher was a villain. I think he was a villain in either Daredevil or he was a villain in one, but I don't remember where he started. And somebody, some autistic geek will know exactly where he came from, but he was a villain at first and then became sort of this anti-hero vigilante kind of guy because he became so popular. And I think there was a point, maybe it was in the 80s, where the anti-hero, like the more complex villain who became the hero was really, I think, more interesting than just sort of this, nice guy cut from the same cloth, like Superman, nice guy, superhero who was an alpha. Like you knew who was good and you knew who was a bad guy. Now it's different, and now we have to have complex reasons, and now it's he had a bad childhood, or terrorists killed his children. There's always something that made him the bad guy, and we progressively can sort of identify with those things.